So hello fellow Earthlings. This is Earthling 6455463728. And I wanted to talk about Joe Rogan's guest Bert Kreischer. Now, I'm probably butchering the guy's name because, this is one of Joe Rogan's friends. So he didn't come out and say, hey, I'm sitting here with my friend. He doesn't do that. So even if he did, I probably wouldn't have remembered. I just went and looked up the guy's name. As per usual, I didn't really look at the whole episode, just like the beginning. It's 3 hours and 21 minutes, I believe. So obviously, Joe Rogan was having a good time, I think. And his friend, Mr. Kreischer, was having a good time too and had nothing to do. Bert is a comedian as well, so he was talking about how it was strange for him to not be doing anything because comedy clubs are a gathering thing, so he's out of work for the moment. But he just had a special a while ago. I guess what he would have been promoting. I think it's on Netflix, and he was saying that it's funny for him to be so calm and not have a whole bunch of stuff to do to go out promoting whatever it is. And I thought, these guys are like millionaires, undoubtedly. And they have hectic schedules. Do they want hectic schedules? Because that's one of the things when you're rich. Why should you be having a hectic schedule? Anyway, he was talking about how he quit drinking for a while, and was it smoking too? I don't know if it was smoking weed or whatever for a while. And he said that he'd listened to Joe Rogan's podcast on the guy with the viral expert, and he felt like Joe Rogan was talking to him. And the funny thing was that Joe was like, yeah, I was talking to you, meaning with respect to getting your health in order, trying not to be overweight and be fit and whatever else, because these viruses, more than likely, they're going to be severely impacting people who don't take care of themselves. And both of them were in agreement that he was one of the people in Joe's life who absolutely did not take care of himself at all. And Joe was 100% talking to him on the podcast when he was referencing basically people who needed to do a little bit better with respect to their health. And it's so funny, the guy, I guess he took it to heart, and he was like, yeah, I heard what you said, and I'm trying to do better. And they were talking about a time when he had had a dry September, and Joe Rogan was so worried about him. He was like, listen, man, you don't have to do this. Because they seem to remember that Amy Winehouse, they're saying that when she stopped drinking for a while, she went to rehab, that was what killed her. And I was thinking, Joe went up to him and was like, hey man, you don't have to do this. And I was like, wait a minute. So you think the thing that is killing him, if he stops it, it'll kill him? That, I don't know what Joe was thinking. Joe is a smart guy, but sometimes I don't know how long ago this was. Maybe he would think better of it now. But I don't know how you figure that doing the thing that's bad for somebody is the thing that's keeping them alive. And he's like, well, the guy must be a tough guy because he treats his body so poorly that if he wasn't a fantastic specimen, he'd be dead already. And I would say yet. I think the guy's kind of old. But it doesn't mean you're going to die at 20 if you're treating your body badly. It often means you're going to die in your 50s, 40s, or your 50s. And I figure the guy is probably in his 50s, so it's never a bad time to stop, Joe. And whatever it is that's killing you is probably not the thing that is holding you together. So that was kind of weird. And Joe was also saying that this guy, Bert, had also run a marathon. And I'm like, I think he's probably, I don't know that it was a testament to the guy's strength that he was able to run a marathon, I think is maybe a testament to the fact that it might have been more a question of the guy just pushing his luck and coming up lucky. Because there's a saying, not all sayings make sense, and even some conflicting sayings make sense, but the straw that broke the camel's back. There's a lot of times that you can do a whole lot of stuff to a camel, and then one day you put a straw on its back, and that's what breaks the camel's back. So it doesn't necessarily mean that, oh, look how strong you are. It just might mean that, yeah, the bridge can still hold a little bit more, and then sooner or later it's going to break. So again, I think they went over one of Joe's favorite topics, which is that, some people just can't take a joke. You know what it reminded me of? I've already had an episode on this already where no, it's not a joke. Not everything is a joke. And, to bolster what I'm saying, just imagine, was it Casino? Remember in Casino, there's a point where the guy is like, I remember when you used to shine my shoes, and it was so funny. And he keeps busting Joe Pesci's character's balls about it. And then at the end of it, he's like, well, bring your effing shoebox and shine my shoe. And then Joe Pesci kills him. I think that is an example of, yeah, that's what happens sometimes. Of course, in the end of it, the guy was not making a joke. He was serious. But if you also look back, I think it was in Goodfellas, right? Goodfellas, Joe Pesci was making a joke with Ray Liotta. And Ray Liotta made a joke, and Joe Pesci's character pretended not to understand and pretended to get upset and kept going and kept going and kept going. Who's to say that the guy that Joe Pesci killed in Casino wasn't going to turn around and after being serious say, oh, I'm just busting your ball. But it was too late because Joe Pesci had killed him. So I think that, it is to be recognized that some people are not going to take what you say as a joke. And it really does depend on what you're used to. If you're used to a circle of friends and everybody cares about each other, you can say almost anything that you want to say because the person knows where you're coming from. They spend time with you. They are like a good fellow with you. So when Joe Pesci is doing that to you, you know that he's joking. He keeps going, he keeps goading you and pretending to get angry, and you know that he's joking with you. But if you are not in that kind of environment, if you are a loner and you are suddenly dropped in that environment, somebody makes a joke in passing, people need to know who to make jokes with and on what stage to make the joke. Unfortunately, yeah, you can make a joke in private and people can take it out of context because everybody there understands what kind of person you are, and they're not going to take it seriously. But I think comedians wanting to make these things it's a joke when there are lots of people who don't know them. I think Dave Chappelle said it best when he was collecting his award at I think I don't remember, it's the Something D Mills Award. And he said there are a lot of racist comedians. And sometimes when somebody says something, he will laugh, but he will know, yeah, that MF really means that. So it's like, yeah, some people really mean what they're talking about. And they try to pass it off as a joke when they're not joking. So this idea that many comedians seem to have, where it's a joke, and even I guess Dave Chappelle was like, yeah, I laugh with everybody. Okay, right, but some people are serious. So I don't know. I know that they seem to realize that sometimes their jokes go badly, but they don't appreciate that it's because of that. And they still think that people should think it's a joke. Anyway, aside from that, we got to hear a little bit more about where Joe grew up and some of the kids that he met. And he was talking about, sometimes you get caught up with bad kids and that's why things go wrong in your life. And I'm thinking, but the bad kids, that's how they got caught up. So everybody's looking at somebody else as the quote-unquote bad kid, because kids don't know anything unless they see. So it's the same way that, I guess good habits and nice manners can pass from one person to another, possibly. Bad ideas and the person that you're looking at, oh, that's a bad kid. These are bad kids, and I learned stuff from them. They learned it from someone else too. And I'm sure it wasn't in their control to say, okay, I only want to learn good stuff. But no, really, I think I want to learn some bad stuff. That's good, bad stuff to learn. I don't think that's how it works. And it's sad that we always have this idea of, oh, don't hang with those bad kids. It's a sad thing. But anyway, Joe Rogan was talking about how some of these kids that he met when he was growing up, he wanted to get away from him and get away from them and not be influenced by them. So he took to fishing. He took up fishing and to get out of their influence then and to be amongst other people. Bert talked about a show that he saw with people who were raising wild predators and how excited he and his family were about seeing that show on Netflix. Like, they were looking at his special at first, and then they went through maybe something else, and then they came upon this show, something about tigers. And he didn't want to spoil this show for Joe, but he was so excited. He really wanted Joe to take a look at it. Apparently, somebody on the show lost their arm to a big cat, and 7 days later, they were doing the same job as they were doing before. And he just thought that was the funniest, craziest thing that he'd ever seen. And he was just laughing his butt off. Well, that was interesting. Maybe I should go look at that show. But all in all, it was an interesting show for a show that was not with an expert, an expert on something for me to look at. Usually that's the kind of show that I prefer to watch on Joe Rogan, where he brings somebody on that, talks about something that I don't know about, or even if I do. These shows that are just like, hanging out, shooting the breeze, they're nice shows. They're not bad, but when I'm listening to them and I press pause because I have to do something, it's not like I'm really eager. Like I might have said in another show, another piece, I'm not really eager to go back to the exact one and continue listening where I left off. But all in all, I think it was an interesting show for one of those. And the MMA shows, I don't know that I really am too interested in myself either. But anyway, wish me lucks. You can like or unlike. You can press that thumbs down thing. You can comment and say why you hate my guts, or why you think that maybe I have a point. You can subscribe if you haven't already. And if you think that there was anything interesting in this to share, you can share. So, peace.